the African Five-A-Side podcast. My name is Maher Mizahi. I'm your host. And as ever and always, this podcast is brought to you by africasaCountry.com. Now, I know it's been about a month since we last spoke. Last time we spoke, we were talking about Coach Rulani Mokoena signing for Wydad Casablanca, and that was a video that did very, very well. Obviously, there was a lot of interest about the coach making the move to Morocco. And we're definitely almost getting ready to delve back into the football season already. I mean, the off-season is so short. But before then, I just wanted to come back here and make an episode on the Olympics and this controversy that's absolutely taken the world by storm. There's an Algerian boxer, a welterweight boxer. That means it's minus 66 kilograms. Her name is Imane Khelif. And she has been the target of a firestorm online. And you have people from like Donald Trump and his vice president candidate, J.D. Vance, to J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter book series, Elon Musk, the owner of X and Tesla and so many other companies. Everybody's commenting on her being able to compete or not in the Olympic Games. And so I wanted to give my 2 cents on that. But just before that, I wanted to give a big shout out to Africa as a Country because they have renewed the African Five-A-Side podcast for a second season. What I can tell you is that there's a lot of stuff in the works. We'll be going again for at least one more year. And you should be seeing a new and improved product shortly. So shout out to them. Go check out africasaCountry.com. They're doing some great reporting right now, not just on the Olympics, but also on the protest movements that are sweeping the continent from Kenya and Uganda all the way down to Nigeria today and yesterday. So if you want to be caught up with African affairs on the continent, check out africasaCountry.com. So let's talk about Imane Khelif. Imane Khelif is somebody that I heard of personally at the last Olympics. It was one where Algeria didn't really have any medal contenders, as the 1500 meter runner Tawfiq Makhloufi didn't really enter. And as a result, I kind of spread my eye out and I checked out all the different athletes to see if there were any young prospects that we could have hope for in the future. And sure enough, Imane Khelif in boxing was very impressive. She lost to Kelly Harrington, who eventually won the gold medal in their category. And she lost in the quarterfinals, so she didn't medal. But it was quite clear that she was young, she had great potential, and that she could very soon be challenging for a medal. And she followed that Olympic performance up with very, very impressive performances in the World Boxing Championships, winning a silver medal in Istanbul in 2022. And then in 2023, qualifying all the way to the final in dominant fashion and being disqualified right before the final in New Delhi in India because she had failed some kind of sex eligibility test. And this really is the crux of why her participation in the Olympics is being deemed as controversial. Earlier this week, there are news reports that came out that explained that there were 2 boxers, Imane Khelif, and there's another one from Chinese Taipei who should be actually fighting today on Friday, that failed these sexual eligibility tests at the World Boxing Championships in 2023 in India, and that they were qualified to box in the Olympics. And as a result, almost immediately, everybody opened their big mouth to give their opinion. You know, like people that don't care about sport, people that definitely don't care about women's sport, people that don't know anything about boxing, everybody is giving their opinion. And let's be straightforward and honest with it. The vast majority of it is the right wing in the United States of America. They're the ones, looking for any kind of fight in their culture war. You know, it was the opening ceremony and now it's boxing. But they're the ones that are picking and prodding and trying to find anything where they can swing their bat and, try and score a point and get some reposts and some retweets. But, as an Algerian, and I think many Algerians were just like confused, like how did a boxer from Tiaret, a female boxer from Tiaret, get dragged out into this in like a culture war in the United States, and all of a sudden everybody's commenting on her. So let's break it down and we'll come to our conclusion at the end of this video. But the first thing I would say is that 99.9% of people that are commenting on the Imane Khelif situation don't have enough knowledge to thoroughly comment on the Imane Khelif situation, including myself. Not only are most people not literate enough on the biology, on the gender studies knowledge, all of these things that you need to sort of make an informed opinion. But on top of that, because all of these tests that athletes do are confidential. We don't even know the results of her tests. We don't know the extent of the testing. We don't know the nitty-gritty details of any of that. And as a result, we have people just shouting their opinions about things that they might have heard online that are completely inaccurate, but people don't really care. And that's what we ended up learning throughout this episode. It's not about getting down to the truth. It's not about accuracy. It's not about having a real honest conversation about, testosterone levels and level playing field for women in sports. It's about scoring political points. So, Imane Khelif, let's start with, humanizing her a little bit. Everybody's debating about what she is and what she isn't, but let's talk about who she is. She's from a place called Biban Misbah, which is, as an Algerian, I had never heard of it. I bet you 99% of Algerians have never heard of it. It's 10 kilometers from Tiaret, which is in the middle of the country. Tiaret is a place that's, more well known for its horse market than its athletes. It's a place that's very highly conservative compared to, Algerians that live along the Mediterranean coast in big cities like Algiers or Oran. It's not because people were maybe thinking that she was trying to hide her identity. Tiaret is not a place where, first of all, you could, go to the hospital and say, can you assign me this gender or that gender for my baby? It's not a place where you could find amenities to transition, or try to, because some people are accusing her of being transsexual. It's not a place where you could say, I want to be male, I want to be female, or vice versa. And Imane Khelif, on top of all of that, on top of the social media, which is extremely conservative, she grew up in a very poor family. This is somebody that, had to often commute to go to school. And then when she had to additionally commute to go to the boxing gym, she didn't have money to do that. And as she was the oldest child, what she would do is she would sell bread by the side of the road. She would find scrap metal and collect it, and find plastic bottles and collect that, and try to sell that so that she can make just enough scrap change to take public transport to the boxing gym and come back. And she had a lot of help along the way of people, helping her out and giving her money, and she acknowledges that. But again, this is not somebody that's going to have thousands and thousands of dollars in terms of spending it on hormone therapy and surgeries and trying to transition from female to male or vice versa. Anyways, as she started to, go through her teenage years, she acknowledges that because of her morphology, and here we're gonna if you haven't seen Imane Khelif, she doesn't really fit, like your Western normative ideals of what a woman, should look like in terms of, like how we sexualize women in terms of, like the hourglass figure and so on and so forth. She's muscular. She has broad shoulders. She's tall. She's lean. She's very powerful. And as her, her body started to develop, she talks about facing abuse at home, but always dealing with it well. Always focusing, not worrying about what people are saying, but focusing on her objective. Even like when there were external factors, like their gym started falling apart and it was decrepit, she was the one that invested and used her bonuses from qualifying for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. So that they could renovate their gym, and they went and they renovated it with their bare hands. So this is somebody that's always never focusing on distractions, always focusing on what do I need to do to win an Olympic gold. So let's talk about she's steadily like progressing, advancing, and we get to this 2023 IBA World Boxing Championship disqualification, and this is what everybody that's criticizing Imane Khelif is basing their criticisms on, that she failed a gender eligibility test in New Delhi in India in 2023. Now, there's a few things that we have to know. First of all, the World Boxing Championships are administered by the IBA, the International Boxing Association. The IBA is not a credible organization according to the IOC and according to many neutral observers. This is an organization that has been stripped of its ability to administer boxing for the Olympics because it's an administration that has been scandaled with corruption and controversy. It's been the IOC was scared that they were going to bring Olympic boxing into disrepute. And what the IOC said is, we put an ad hoc committee into place for this Olympics. But if you guys don't find, and they're talking about to the national boxing federations around the world, telling them, if you guys don't find another organization in Los Angeles in 2028, we're not going to have boxing at the Olympics. So just to tell you, some people may call it ad hominem, but that's already one thing that you have to keep in mind when we talk about the credibility of the body that was administering these tests. It isn't good credibility, number one. Number two, people are saying she has XY chromosomes. There's absolutely no evidence of this, first of all. The only evidence they have is that the president of the IBA, Umar Kremlev, wrote this on a Telegram channel, apparently. I don't know if it's been verified or not. It was picked up by Russian media, and then everybody's just been using that over and over and over again. The BBC, who have done their thorough reporting, said that they cannot determine the kind of testing that was done by the IBA. The IBA, in their own statement, which was released on Wednesday, 2 days ago, said that we cannot tell you what kind of testing this was because this will breach confidentiality rules. They said all we can say is that this was not testosterone-based testing. So which leads to perhaps people to believe that maybe this was DNA or chromosomal. But the bottom line is we don't know. We don't know what kind of testing it was. So basically, because even I remember the headlines, in 2023 before the final. And from what I remember, and again, please don't take this as gospel because it certainly isn't, but very faulty memory, is that the Chinese Taipei fighter might have had XY chromosomes, but Imane Khelif, that wasn't the case for her. She might have failed in another thing. But still, everybody's been basing their criticism on Imane Khelif on the fact that she has XY chromosomes, she has XY chromosomes, XY chromosomes. Anyways, even if she did, there are, many, many cases of women that have XY chromosomes. There are cases of men that have XX chromosomes. There are some women that have XXY chromosomes, which is why chromosomal testing has sort of been, and sex testing has been, eliminated by the IOC decades ago. Just because a woman has XY chromosomes, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to have way more masculine features, that they're going to have way more testosterone, that they're going to be way stronger, faster, and so on and so forth. We don't know. Even if she did have XY chromosomes, the necessary causation, not correlation, but the necessary causation, does that immediately cause her to be faster, stronger, and so on and so forth? And the answer is no. And we don't know the details of her testing. That's why we cannot come to these conclusions. But like I said, people don't care about that. In the end, when you really boil it down, people don't really care about boxing. They don't care about the Olympics. They definitely don't care about Imane Khelif or her opponent, the Italian boxer Angela Carini. What people really care about is, throwing their hatred online, trying to score some political points, maybe some retweets, insulting people. People are bored. People, they think they're like fighting in some kind of culture war that, me as an Algerian or Imane Khelif as an Algerian is probably just confused. Like, how did I get drawn into this, culture war in the United States? Like, we're just a girl trying to box in the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. And that's one thing that I wanted to finish the video by stressing, is that Imane Khelif has been entirely professional throughout this entire process. She passed the IOC eligibility criteria, number one. Number two, she boxed impeccably. 46 seconds, she disposed of her opponent. Number three, she was very, very gracious to her opponent, who wasn't really gracious to Imane Khelif. Didn't want to shake her hand after the bout, was screaming in the middle of the ring that this isn't fair. I have seen, credible boxing experts say that the two right hands that she took, which were solid right hands, shouldn't be enough to get a professional boxer out of the ring, and that she almost went into the bout perhaps with preconceived notions of what the fight was going to go like. Some people are accusing her of pulling a stunt. I don't want to do that. As a journalist, it's not responsible, but I don't like the way that she acted before the fight, but especially during the fight and after the fight. To be fair to her, she did apologize for not shaking Imane Khelif's hand. But Imane Khelif, throughout the entire process, was very gracious, very sportsmanlike towards her opponent. And finally, online, she's kept a low profile. She hasn't responded to any of the misgendering, any of the personal attack that she suffered from so many different rich, famous, powerful people. So that's what I wanted to underline. This isn't Imane Khelif's fault. She was born this way. She passed IOC eligibility criteria. If you want to say that we need to have more strict testing at the IOC, I'm not going to argue against that. Look, hey, that's up to the boxing community. That's up to biologists. That's up to, people that specialize in gender theory and so on and so forth. They can all get together. They can agree on what the baseline should be. And once we have that standard, it should be applied probably throughout all organizing bodies, not just the IOC, but also the IBA or whichever organization follows the IBA in organizing boxing around the world. But as of now, she qualified to box in Paris. She's not some kind of, Terminator going through, never lost a bout in her life. No, she only has 5 KOs out of 37 wins. Her power is not extreme. She's lost 9 fights, admittedly, when she was a lot younger. She's only lost 2 fights since the Tokyo Olympics. But Imane Khelif is human. She's just a woman that's, unfortunate to be caught up in this entire culture war. And the unfortunate thing about all of this is that we're probably going to hear about this over and over and over again until she's either eliminated, or what we hope is that she wins a gold medal. But I just wanted to, throw some sanity into the discourse, give my opinion, even though, like I said, it's probably not qualified either as a sports journalist. I think what we should try to do is center people that are qualified, not bring the political views into all of this. Have honest conversation if you want. Leave the insults out of it. Try and seriously find out what's going on. I think that's the main thing. But it feels like I'm probably shouting into the void because, again, people don't care in the end. But anyways, I just wanted to talk about that in the Olympics. I've been watching along. I've really enjoyed them so far. And I think we haven't talked about the football really, but the Moroccan national team have done very well. The Egyptian national team have done very well. And if they get a little bit further on, I think maybe we could do a video speaking about those 2 national teams. Anyways, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Like I said, the good news is that we're on for at least another year, thanks to africasacountry.com. Please go check them out. Please go support them on all of their social media. And we'll leave it there for now. I'll speak to you soon. Peace.